Welcome, everybody, to our Wednesday call. I am so excited to be here with Reverend Dr. Heather Shea. And she is going to be talking to us a little bit about discovering your innate wisdom and intuitive abilities. This is a new class that she has coming up that she'll talk to you about, but she has some really cool stuff to show us. She just showed me how she teaches people how to bend forks and spoons, and she showed me all these crazy forks and spoons. It's like, what? Oh my gosh. So this is super exciting, and I'm excited for all of you. But just a little bit about her. She has coached leaders throughout 6 continents, including household names in business, politics, and entertainment. In fact, she was just talking about the Clintons and the palace. She's an intuitive coach, animal communicator, author, and energy work practitioner. Sorry. She has also been acknowledged as one of the top 50 speakers in the world. An everyday mystic, Heather mentors clients to access and develop their intuition and innate capabilities to actualize practical, real world outcomes. She's also a Reiki master and a certified Let Animals Lead method of animal Reiki practitioner. And that's actually how I met Dr. Heather. She was my student in my animal Reiki for Reiki practitioners class. And that's why I love teaching. And I love how the Let Animals Lead method brings together so many amazing people. As you can see on this call, we have some really wonderful people joining us, and I'm going to let a couple more people in. And so, Dr. Heather, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Leah. Thank you for this opportunity. I am so excited to be here and to see all of you. It's really wonderful. Some of you I know, and some of you are new friends. For those of you who are not on camera, it's okay. But if you ever want to come on camera, we'll welcome you here as well. So again, thank you. We're going to have some fun, and let's get started. So most of this is going to be kind of interactive. If you want to speak or whatever, you can. However, we'll work that or ask questions on the chat. Also, this is not meant to be a gotcha. So when I ask you if you're seeing something or feeling something, this is not a test. As the old commercial goes, this is not a test, or this is just a test. This is not a test. We're just going to have some fun and some practice today. So thank you. And probably like all of you, the way I like to get started is through just some grounding and some protection. And I think that's regardless of what we're doing today or anytime we're doing our work. Let's just start that way, if that's all right. So just going to ask you to put your hands together. Take some deep breaths. And ground. Feel yourself grounded and connected, whatever practice you'd like to use. And I'd like you to bring some silver light and energy through your body, and just cleansing anything off, cleansing any energy from the day. Have it go out your feet. And bring in some nice, white, sparkly love, cosmic consciousness, whatever you want to call it, energy. Let that just surround you and protect you. Bring in some nice gold now, some nice gold, which is a protection. And we're going to put a final protection on today of diamond. Just surround yourself in great diamond light. You can see out, you can look out, you can feel out, but nothing's going to get in during this time. Just there's a lot of us working together, and just want to make sure your energy is protected. Okay, thank you. And we welcome you back into the room. I will mention at this point, many of us, probably all of us, work with animals, either whether it's Reiki or animal communication or in some connection with animals. Often when I'm working with healers, I remind them that we're doing this to protect their animals in the household. As you all know, animals are very sensitive. Also, after you do healing or you do working, to remember to clear your animal. It's remarkable how often we in this business kind of forget to do that. And then sometimes you'll see your dog going, wonder what's wrong, and they're still holding on to things. So just just a little reminder. Um, so we're talking today about, mostly we're going to be talking about the clairs. But overall, we're talking about this concept of intuition. There's more and more out there now on intuition and what is intuition, or psychic abilities, or inner wisdom. Like, what's all this stuff? And for those of us who are in this work, we know there's something else out there. We know there's, or in here, that we work with that. So again, this is gonna be a pretty basic course, but it's a bit of an overview. But I just, from a grounding standpoint. Um, when we're working, uh, you may use different names for it. It might be source, God, goddess, Allah, spirit, um, mindset. It's really whatever words you choose are accepted. I might use certain words at certain times. So I just want to say that. I also am trained more in the Western world. So I have a bit of a Western perspective on some of my teaching. I also teach Eastern philosophy and I'm a reverend and all, but most of my point of view is more Western learning and training. So we're gonna have some fun. And people say, well, as we're working with this phenomena, is it out here or is it in here? Like, where am I going when I'm seeing this stuff or hearing this? Like, where is it coming from? And the answer is both. And that is something that varies sometimes depending on which mindset you're coming from. Western, it tends to be more, it's out there. Eastern tends to be, it's more, in here. So again, philosophically, I'm doing a little bit of talking now because I just want to get some kind of groundwork out. And I think around that, and any of the work that I do, and I would imagine the work that you're doing when I'm calling it in the psychic realms or in this inner realm, I really believe very strong in ethics and strong in doing what is correct. And with people, if you're saying, I know this, it's different than I feel this or I heard this. And it's very important to check in. And when I say ethics, I do have people calling me saying, can you tell me who killed my husband? I'm like, no. I also have people calling me asking things like, can you find this lost money? Or can you tell me if my mother's about to die? I mean, so sometimes we get some interesting calls. And I like to work within ethical and credibility, and also being clear on what is true for me or what is not true or how I know it. Okay, just a little bit of framework in this work, because we were just talking about blocks. There's a lot of fear around some of this work. Um, oh, those psychics or those witches or those whatever. So sometimes we have fear around it. Like, I'm not sure I can do that. Can I really do that? Is that really possible? My mom said not that I really couldn't do this, years ago. And as I was growing up, they wouldn't let me do it in the household. Anybody had that happen? This was condemned around where, or my religion didn't practice this. So we have a lot of stuff holding us back. So that's why I come today. We're just going to open up. There's no judgment. Just, it's like trying it. And in this work, I equate it a lot with playing the piano. Anybody can play the piano, I believe. Some people play better, but it's all about the practice. It's all about the practice. And I've been doing this a very long time. And I've studied with lots of teachers, and I have more certificates than anyone should. Okay, so let's just get going. I am a psychic. I am a medium. I am a healer or healing practitioner. I am a witch. Uh, I'm a mom. Uh, I'm a Reiki, animal Reiki person, which I love. I do a lot with animal communications. I also am an animal uh, medium and an animal psychic, which is different than animal communications. I draw lines there in terms of what I'm doing. Okay, so much for talking. So let's just do something really simple that you all know. Let's just, because we've all done this. You feel the energy in your hands, right? We've been in Reiki, so we know the energy. And I just want you to open it up now and just feel your aura around you. Just get the sense of how big is your aura. Kind of interesting. You may also, and it's a different course, but you may also feel around this how your aura is feeling. Are there openings? Is there some stuff that's gotten in your aura? Is there stuff you have to clear from your aura? Just notice, just notice, just notice. And again, no, not a quiz, but I'm going to ask you to check and look at me I'm going to change my aura and just notice what color my aura is now. All right, and now we're changing it. And I'm going to change it for a third time. And again, if you got it, terrific. If you didn't, it's okay too. I started bringing a little bit of a yellow, but I went into more of a red pink. I moved from there into a blue and from there into a green.
So I'm going to say I didn't see any change. And I was really trying hard, but I am really bad at this. So I would love if anyone did see it, if you could just unmute or if you just want to put in the chat, because that's really cool. And I know that there's people here that put, yeah, Karen.
I noticed initially it seemed more gold, but what I was going to say, I need to get you on speaker view, I think, because you're tiny right now.
Oh, yeah.
So can I do?
You have to do that up in view. So in the far upper right hand corner, there should be like view.
Okay. I will check that out. I didn't mean
Yeah.
to, but yeah, initially I did feel like it was kind of a gold yellow, and then I couldn't see you very clearly. So I'm going to get you bigger.
Okay.
And I think Anne unmuted. Anne.
I got a yellow right away. I saw the yellow, and then I got kind of like a green or a blue, and then it changed more like a pink and a red. Is that what you?
Yep.
Okay, I got that.
Great. Thank you. And then Alina got yellow, white, orange. I wouldn't say that's all wrong, because yellow and gold are kind of the same thing. And then Joy, not so much seeing as feeling. Oh, that's really cool.
Right. And that's it. And that's where we work with the clairs. Sometimes you feel it, sometimes you know it, sometimes you hear something. And again, this isn't meant to be a test. It's just something to observe. I can also say, in fairness, I'm doing this kind of in my office area, so I have a lot of tchotchke behind me. So it might be a little harder than if I'm like up against a white wall, and where we can see it more. Also, I was usually I can be clear, but I was trying to go to, and the gold just came in, and I think that's because we've just, who knows why, but we've just surrounded ourselves in gold. So my body was being gold yellow. It's like, okay, we just put that shield around us, so that's what's around me right now. I'm going, no, I want to make it a different color. And it's going, no, this is what we are right now. It's like, okay.
And I also want to say that Joy said not so much, as the feeling. And then Monica said at some point she had blue, but didn't see it, just had a feeling. So again, a feeling. And then, Melissa said, hey, everyone, Dr. Heather's amazing. So glad to be here. We're so glad you're here. Thank you. And then Jan said, I saw the golden blue. And Barbara said, I felt it also. I felt yellow and then red. And then Robin said, oh, wow, so interesting. I got most of them other than green, but I have heard it instead of feeling it. So interesting. And then Melissa said, I could see it as well. I did see some white come in at the very end, though. And Ellen said, I've never seen an aura, how to do it. So that's a good question, Ellen. So what are we looking at, Dr. Heather, when we're looking for that aura? Are we looking out? Are we looking right above your head?
We're looking for whatever you see, think, or feel. So it is all around me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can be different colors here, and it changes. And it changes if I get happy or I get sad. You'll mostly see it kind of right in here. Sometimes you'll see it also if you look, like at the beginning when you were seeing the golden, it was really out here. And as I brought it in more, the green, some of you saw the blue. The blue was much more in here.
Interesting. That's
and
good.
It was a darker color, so I was bringing it more.
Great question, Ellen. Thank you for asking that, because it's great. Because I didn't really know where to look either. I was looking more out the whole time and not.
Yeah. And you can look at, and this again, lots of training another time, but it becomes, especially one of the classes I teach is coming to your senses at work. And you can, as you do this, you can kind of look around and going, ooh, they're hot red aura. That's not a good sign. Or somebody's a light blue and you go, oh, they like what I'm saying. Isn't that nice? It is. How do you do it? It's over time. And oh, by the way, you don't have to be able to do it. Not everybody. My sister has never seen an aura and she's like probably never going to. But it is something, it's more of this that we all know. There's this energy, there's a lot there that we see, or there's a lot there to be seen. And also as you practice it, you can see it more, if that makes sense. So yeah, we were just talking about clairs. So let's kind of let's get to the clairs. And clairs, basically, the clairs mean clear seeing from the French word, clarity. So what it is about getting clarity of what am I feeling or thinking or seeing. So we're going to work with the basic clairs today. I'm teaching some courses coming up. The one is coming to your senses. Next one is coming to your senses at work, and then coming to your senses at nature. And that's where we're going to be doing things like spoon bending, finding your dragon, looking at more as what's the difference between a medium and a psychic, remote viewing, talking to angels. So there are ways to work with me, following this course, and we can send you more information about some of the things I teach. A lot of people are interested in finding their dragon. It's fun. But today, let's go, and there's nothing basic about any of this, but we're going to go with the clairs. So I'm going to try and share my screen and see what happens. Did that share? Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can see it and we can hear you. It's perfect.
All right. So we'll go through clear cognizance. This is just the knowing. I know. How do I know? I don't know. I just, I know it. I know this is going to happen today. I just know, I just know the phone's about to ring and the phone rings. I just know. I just know today I should not go out because I'm going to get stuck in traffic. And guess what? If I go out and I get stuck in traffic, it's like, I knew. Clear gustance, clear tasting. Again, nothing's in your mouth, but you get that taste, or you're tasting something, you go, oh, this reminds me of. This reminds me of, or why am I tasting that? What information am I getting? Clairvoyance. We hear mostly of that sort of clear, the knowing and the seeing or the feeling are kind of the most popular ones. Clairvoyance, I see it. I just see it. And where do we see it? We just see it. We see it in our mind's eye because it's all here. And again, mind, consciousness, the Akashic records, whatever you want to call it. Clear audience, the clear hearing. I hear something. You've probably had this happen. You're kind of going along, and all of a sudden you start hearing a song comes in your head. Then you get into the car, and the song comes on. It's like, whoa, how did that happen? So that's kind of that's kind of fun. So the same thing, smelling. I often smell my mother's perfume. My mother's been gone for a number of years, and yet I'll smell her perfume, and I'll be like, "Hi, Mom." My mom also leaves me pennies. So you sometimes get physical things that are left by people who have transitioned. And that's always very strange, especially, when I've made my bed and I come back and there's pennies on it. That's another, same, okay. And clear feeling, I really feel it. And that's what some people were saying. I felt the color. I sensed the color. So we're going to go back here to we're going to go back up, and I'm going to try and come out of sharing. Okay, here we go. And we're back. All right. So let's start with clairsentience. And I'm going to just stop here for a second. Are there any questions about anything I've said before or about what we're doing or anything? I just want to make sure that we're okay. Okay. So
Carolyn did ask, how do you feel a color? So like earlier, people were saying I felt it more. So what would that look like or feel like for her?
In responding to it, it depends on you. People feel things differently. So what you want to do is you start working in this work. What does it feel like to you? When I feel, let's say I'm feeling yellow, I kind of feel happier. It's a happier feeling. That's when I get a yellow, I kind of get a happy, upbeat feeling. If I get a dark red, to me, it's dark red is a very heavy color. It tends to be an angry color. Light blue is actually gets kind of a happy feeling. You kind of think of water or sky. So for me, when I see light blue, I kind of get this, oh, the world's a beautiful place. When I see a green, I get a feeling of something, kind of something's happening, like grass or something that's growing. Does that make sense? So it's checking it for yourself. What does the color mean to you? In
Okay,
that,
yeah, I think I know what you mean. I mean, when I see colors occasionally, then I'll say, okay, it's blue, that means tranquility, because that's what it means to me.
right, right. Because it's what it means to you. So we're not gonna go into it a whole lot today. Again, one of my other courses or another time, if I come back, we can talk more about pendulums.
Mhm.
For me, a pendulum does this. It means yes. Let's say we'll do this again. My sister, it means no. So when you're doing this work, it's important to use different people's information, but then say, well, how does it work for you? The right way is the way it works for you in this case. Is that helpful? I mean, I think that's a great question.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, that's very helpful. It's just doing sort of backing into things rather than going forwards. It's the opposite of looking at a color and saying that's what it's about. It's you feel tranquility and you're like, it's blue.
yeah,
It's
right.
backwards.
Exactly. So, oh, okay. you know. Um, yeah, right. Okay. You just brought it down. Okay. So it was funny. It was just funny. We're gonna talk with this feeling. We're gonna talk with start with clairsentience. It was funny. My daughter had an important engagement this morning, and I was getting up, and I'm like, I just had a feeling I should call my daughter. I just had a feeling, and I called her, and she said, "Oh, Mom, you and your sixth sense. You knew I wanted you to call me." No. And what's true is I knew she had this meeting. I was aware of it. So it was in my brain, a knowing, and I could have called her and said, "Oh, have a good meeting." But it was just like I was trying to get out of bed. I was trying to brush my teeth and I kept getting this call your daughter, call your daughter, call your daughter. And so many of us, and that's part of what I will say to you, when you get one of these, call your daughter, don't go to work, be careful, whatever it is, listen and then validate it. In this particular case, I called my daughter. She was really happy I did. So do I always know? No, but once I called her, it confirmed it. Here's another one for you. Okay. Just take a minute. How am I feeling today? Am I feeling today? You can put it in chat, but I'll tell you and then we can see what people got. I can tell you, I'm very happy to be here. You may pick that up. There's a sense of this is good. I am tired. No surprise to anybody here. We get tired doing this work. I am tired. And I have a little bit of angst in me. So there's a little bit of angst. This time when I'm starting to put my taxes together, what a surprise. I don't like doing my taxes. So there's a little underlying in case you pick. There you go. Yep, energized, nervous, and excited. That's exactly. I'm really happy to be here. There's a little bit nerve-wracking doing these kind of things. And I'm excited. And oh, by the way, I don't like taxes. Did people pick up sort of any of those? Isn't that interesting? Look what you can do. And I mean that nicely because you can do this anytime. And again, what we said ethically is that you want to be careful of how often you're doing it, but also realize we're doing this all the time anyway. Thoughtful also. Yes, I'm very thoughtful and I have, that's the taxes, but some other stuff that I'm doing because I take this work very seriously. So yeah. Isn't that fun? So we all can do this. Um, Again, going back to an ethics, I do have people calling me saying, "Oh, what's my boyfriend thinking?" And I have to be mindful of what I say, you know, or just when I'm talking to people, usually, almost always, I get their permission. And Melissa will know this from working with me. I usually, and in any of the work, it's even when we're doing animal Reiki, you get the permission when you're doing this work. But it's just interesting how much we already are aware of. And again, this is a practice, right? So
Dr. Heather, this is a great question that Robin had, because as soon as you were talking about this, I had the same exact question. So she said, I find it sometimes very hard to distinguish this intuition and other ego responses like fear, anxiety, etc. Any advice to recognize the difference? And I'll share something. Like one time I was going to go to this concert. Well, I did go to the concert, but I had this horrible foreboding before I was going, and it didn't make any sense rationally, but I just was like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't go. And then I went and everything was fine. But so then that's like things like that happen. And then I think, oh, I can't trust my intuition. And I think that's what Robin's talking about as well. Like, how do you know?
So you don't. You don't. Let's be honest, but it's an intuition, and you can go into, and you can trust into it a little bit more, or you can get more information. Like the other day, I was wondering if I should go to Denver. It's about an hour from where I live, and I was seeing if I could get there, and I was thinking, is there going to be too much snow? And my intuition, my gut, my whatever is, don't go. Maybe I could have gone, but there was enough fear in me. And yes, the other day, we've had a lot of snow out here. But the other day, I was like terrified. Can I go to church? Can I go to church? There's a blizzard, there's snow, terrible things are going to happen. And then I go, my car's fine. This is just normal. So you kind of check in with yourself, if that makes sense. Just keep checking with yourself and validate it more. Sometimes if there's fear, or look at what is the fear. Where is that fear coming? You all know this. We're programmed for fear. We're programmed for dinosaurs and saber-toothed tigers biting us. But bring it up into the front of your mind, or drop down and go, okay, what am I afraid of? I didn't go to a party the other day because I was afraid I didn't have the right thing to wear. That wasn't psychic. That was just I couldn't find anything in my closet I wanted to wear. Is that helpful? I mean, in all this, and like I said with my daughter, I felt I should call her, so I did. For those of you who are animal communicators, sometimes you feel something, or you hear something, and you go, that can't be. And you go, but I think it is. And you ask the person. I was working with a group, or a person recently, and the cat told me they were a cartoon cat. And I'm like, cartoon cat? What does cartoon cat mean? Turns out she was a cartoon cat. And her mother does birthday cards and Christmas cards and all kinds of things using the cats. So again, you checking in. Does that? I don't know if that's helpful. It's kind of and then I can't say that we don't always know, but as you start working with this, you get better on, is it a knowing or is it a feeling? And that becomes tricky sometimes, and particularly in mediumship work, or in in animal communications. Do I know this, or do I feel it? Am I hearing it, or is it something I'm feeling? And how does that happen? Okay, so let's try this one. Let's try knowing. And this may have been given away. Let's see. Okay, am I a cat person, a dog person, or both? And the answer is, what are people saying? You can just put it in chat. I'm not.
Well, it's really funny because I know you, and I know you like cats because you've had cats, and there's a cat in the back. When you were speaking, it was Milo was in the back. But I don't know if you're a cat and dog person. And my feeling was you are a cat and dog person. Like you're both. But I don't know.
Right. And that's correct. So this wasn't meant to be a trick in any way. I am primarily a cat person. Okay. And this was a giveaway, actually, because you see a cat up there. My bookshelf is filled with cats.
Oh yeah.
Walking behind me. So again, this sometimes going when you're doing, clairvoyance, sometimes it really is what you're seeing. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong because you're picking it up. Doesn't matter how obvious. Like, I'm a cat person, and so it validates it because I may not have been. I might just have these things around my house. And actually, Milo is my daughter's cat. So again, there's ways information come in. I am a dog person. I will confess I like cats more. Don't tell the dogs. Don't tell my grand dog that. And I work a lot with horses also. And I'll also work with ferrets and and pigs and goats and all sorts of things. So it really is a both with a little bit of a heavy lifting on cat. And again, because you saw that. So there's nothing wrong with actually, that goes back to the knowing. Hey, Heather, I know you have cats. I guess, you probably like them, So.
So funny. And then Robin, yeah, you said both. See? So you do have it. We all have it. It's just that trust. And I think that goes back to what you were saying about like leaning into it, into your intuition, because I think that that's the difference. Back when I had that anxiety, it just sticks in my head. It was way before I even was practicing animal Reiki or meditation. And I think that that's really great advice to stop and really lean into. Is this like what you did about leaving, right? You lean into it and go, okay, is this a rational fear? Is this just something, is this my ego? Whatever that is.
Yeah, it's really noticing. And again, because you all do Reiki, you have the ability to lean in and know and get a sense. And I say, and have fun with it. And have fun with it. This is just, sometimes it's very serious, especially when I'm doing medical work.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I'm never gonna say to somebody, oh yes, your dog has cancer. I might say something like, your dog isn't feeling well, and there's some energy that's off. So again, it depends how we want to say it.
Yeah, I was gonna say thank you for that, because I think, the first step of questioning is very helpful to understand, to kind of like try to start to understand the difference between like ego and intuition. So yeah, very good point there.
I think that's a point also, the ego getting into it. It's difficult sometimes in this work. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about a job choice, and kind of what I was getting in terms of her job choice. And then my preference. Because I can go straight into, well, this is what you should do. It's like, it doesn't matter what I think she should do. She was asking about a particular position. And that also happens sometimes, again, with animal communication. I was working with somebody who was saying, should I send the dog back? They had adopted a dog. There were some issues. Should I send the dog back? I'm not going to say yes or no. I can say, your dog isn't happy, but we have to be careful of, yeah. So I was like, your dog isn't happy. Yeah, send the dog back. The dog shouldn't be with you, but I can't say that. Does that make so that's my ego. And that's an important thing. We see this sometimes in people who do this work professionally, that they get, the opinion comes in. And especially in mediumship, instead of what is the spirit telling me, what do I think the spirit's telling me? What am I actually hearing or knowing? So that's an excellent point. And by the way, it's tricky. Just saying, that's tricky. But that's why this is a practice to really get clear on what's happening. All right, here we go. This is kind of fun. Care Gustafson's, and you may have done this before. So we're going to ask you all to get a lemon. You're going to have a lemon in your hand. Have a lemon, and you're going to just put it on a surface, and you're going to cut the lemon open. It's a really nice sour lemon, and just take a bite out of the lemon. Can you all kind of feel your face going, or something like, it's kind of sweet, it's kind of sour? There's no lemon here. But see how quickly we go into.
Which is funny because I didn't even taste it at all. But when you said that, my mouth started going like that. And there was no taste. I'm not going to say I tasted. I see Karen's nodding her head. No taste at all. But when I put it up there, there was like just instant, like my mouth got all like that, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting, yeah.
I want to say this is so interesting. I'm thinking this is all fascinating. Before you mentioned the fruit, I thought lemon.
Of course you did.
And then when you asked us to taste it, my tongue started watering.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And that really goes back to everything's all connected, everything is everywhere at the same time, all that, whatever that title is. And so time is all connected. So you would be able to telepathy, see into my mind, feel it beforehand. So that's sometimes too, you're going, I think I can think, I know what she's thinking. Yeah, you do. You all can do that. So it is interesting when we start seeing things and thinking things, you'll pick up on it. Great. Yeah, and the taste. Um, the other thing you can do is, again, for any of you who are animal communicators, mediums, or just want to have fun, um, what is the animal? And I do this with my animals. When I'm reading, I use all six senses. What do they like to taste? You get some of the funny, because we really just, oh, your animal likes dog bones, or your animal likes you, or whatever. And you go, and then you come up with your animal likes popcorn. I mean, I can't tell you how many dogs like popcorn, Doritos, Pop Cups, and again, I feel a little bit like crazy going, excuse me, your dog likes popcorn, likes to watch Netflix and eat popcorn, but that's what the dog's saying. So sometimes when you use this, or just go into going, what does this meeting taste like? Have you ever been in a sour meeting? Any of you in the corporate world, I bet you've been in yeah, one or two along the way. You go into, we're going to go have Thanksgiving with the family. What does this taste like? It tastes like apple pie. It may have nothing to do with apple pie, but there might be some recollection of, oh, and this is sweet and this is happy. Have fun with this. It's a very powerful skill that we sometimes don't recognize we're doing or don't bring up as consciously. And especially in your work or when you want to get, just a little clearer on what does this taste like? Does that make sense to folks? I know it's a little wonky, but it's actually very cool when you start working with it. Um, okay. All right. Now we're gonna do clairvoyance. Seeing what this tastes like a buffet. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, there we go. This is a buffet. Look at all the different flavors and styles and things going on here. It's sugar and spice too. Now we're gonna do something fun. This is all fun. Are you having fun? Is this fun for folks? Is this kind of useful? And okay, good. It's fun for me. Clairvoyance. Clear seeing. Clear seeing. I see that. Sometimes we use clear seeing, and again, this is a little more advanced, whatever. I don't know about you, but I have parking fairy. Some of you might have parking angel. Some of you might have. We see that there is an empty space in the parking lot. There's no empty space in the parking lot, but we see it. We know it's there. This has to do with time travel and a few other things. We see it and we go right to the spot and we go in. How did that happen? I wonder. Ooh, we can do a lot of that. As I was explaining to Leah before, we can do things like move trains, we can move traffic. There's a lot of things that we do as we start developing this, and this gets a little more to do with time and consciousness and what we're doing and pulling in. But we have a lot more power and possibilities than we know. But it's fun when we start seeing like, well, I do parking fairy all the time. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that was kind of unusual. So this is very simple. I teach people remote viewing, which can be very fun. We do remote viewing with animals, like to find a lost animal. You do remote viewing to find lost people. You do remote viewing. Believe it or not, I will use remote viewing sometimes when I'm going shopping. If I want to find something, I'll look in the store and see, oh, did they have the sweater that I'm looking for? Saves time, saves money. Anyway, and we all have this ability. How do we do it? We look at the store and we start looking inside it. And we just start doing a 360 and there we are. Again, it's developed, but we can all do this. So now it's a simple one. What's that? You take a minute. What's outside my window? What do you see outside my window? That window right there. What do you see outside my window?
I know, so I'm not going to comment, but anybody else, you can do chat or you can even unmute. Um, oh, Karen said water. Okay. And then we've got trees by Jan, and Carolyn said birdhouse. Carolyn Firth said grass and trees. Um, and let's see. Yeah, Jan said trees. Let's see who else. Anne said trees.
Great. Great, great, great. Yeah, a lot of trees. I'm a big tree person. I'm a big tree person. We don't have a birdhouse per se, but I am a crazy bird lady, and I feed the birds all the time. So if you looked outside, you would see trees with lots of birds on them. Um, there are art. If did anybody pick up mountains? There's a thing called the Rocky Mountains right here. I look out my window and I pick up the mountains. If anybody picked that up, so right, it's right there. There's grass, there's trees, there's water, mostly because it snowed so much that it's like watery. It feels very watery out there. Yeah, I was thinking mountains. Yeah, mountains. New picked up mountains. Again, isn't that fun? And it's kind of interesting. So yeah, trees, definitely trees, birds, mountains.
Do you have primroses? They probably wouldn't be blooming now, but or
Yes,
bamboo.
yes, I do. I
Oh,
do.
there you
So if
go.
anybody picked up roses or flowers, also if by any chance anybody picked up fairies, that like Heather, you have fairies out there. I guess I do. I have a fairy garden. So again, sometimes we'll think like, I'm not going to say fairy garden, but if anybody picked up fairy garden, yes, we have a fairy garden. Um, so, but that's fun. And so remote viewing is something, again, it's a seeing. And as you do it more, and I suspect you will do, you see it in your mind's eye, but you actually see it in front of you. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. You guys are doing great. You guys are doing, this is like, you know, little afternoon test, but no test, just fun. But it's fun to see how much of this you have and how much you use it all the time. The other thing is that we are actually using this all the time. Things you know, things you see. So we're going to get into, and we can try this one way. All right. The next one is clear audience, which is clear hearing. So hearing. And again, we mentioned this, you hearing a song and all of a sudden it comes on. You hear the phone ring, but it hasn't been ringing yet, and all of a sudden it rings. So sometimes, we're hearing things, we're going, how did that happen? I used to live in the Connecticut area, New York area. And about a year ago, I heard this voice saying, you're going to move to Boulder, Colorado. It was like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And I'm looking around going, am I hearing that, or where is this coming from? And then about 2 weeks later, I heard this, you're moving to Boulder, Colorado. I'm like, this is just too weird. So I called, even for me, I called I contacted a friend of mine who's an astrocartographer. And I said, would you do the charts of where I can live in the world? And he came back and I'm like, how about, I'd love to move to Bali. Nope. He said, you can move to Boulder, Colorado or Minneapolis. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. I picked up 3 weeks later, found a house and moved. But it started with hearing something and going, really, but listening. So however I was hearing it. Same thing we were saying before. Go into a meeting sometimes. What does the meeting sound like? It could sound happy. It could sound like a march. It could sound, okay, we can get the astrocartographer. We can get that information out if you want. They're very cool. So, hearing in different ways. You also might hear a sound that reminds you of your father, of your mother, of your sister. So I have one of my husband's passed, and our favorite songs sometimes come up on the radio, and I'm going, he's thinking of me, or he wants to connect with me for a reason. So that's synchronicity. We could spend a lot of time talking about synchronicity, but it's fun to, again, just notice. So here we go. Again, not a test. So the first question is, what kind of music do I like? And for 10 points, that don't really mean anything, but for 10 points, what song am I thinking of? So we'll go, what kind of music do I like? And in particular, if you get the song, that would be cool, but you don't have to. Okay. Anyone get musicals, show tunes? I'm a show tune person, or upbeat.
Upbeat. The song Happy just oh, Karen, we are family. Yeah, like an upbeat, happy. I just kept hearing that song Happy in my head, but
Yep.
by Farrell. But and then Anne got pop. Robin got jazzy vibe came in. Okay.
Great.
That's definitely show tune, cabaret type show
Yeah,
tune.
all those, and you all got it. I was thinking, I'm kind of a show tuney person, but it's all that, and happy. I'm always playing happy. I'm always playing happy. I'm always like, I'm always defying gravity here. Upbeat. I like upbeat, happy. And so even jazzy pop, folksy. I tend to, like that kind of sound.
Yeah. Don said like jazz. Rebecca said I had a theater in mind. Oh, that's very cool, Rebecca. Nice.
I was thinking of "Come Alive" from Greatest Showman was the song. So in case any of you saw Hugh Jackman, and why wouldn't we want to see Hugh Jackman? Hugh Jackman or a circus, or had that kind of, and "Come Alive" is a very jazzy kind of upbeat, come alive, come alive, come alive. So
well, it's funny too, because I love that you said that, because if someone did get circus and they might think, okay, there's no way she likes circus music. But they get, like circus just popped in their head. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and something with sunshine. Yeah, sunshine. If you think "Come Alive" is very much, coming alive, coming out is very sunshiny.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's really cool.
And
That's
I love.
fun.
Is that fun? Isn't that fun? You guys amazing? Isn't that amazing? Isn't it fun? Yeah, then he had gotten "Come Alive," and people do, right? Or sometimes they'll get circus, or you get something, like it. And I when I was doing this class once, somebody said, "I'm really not getting it, but I'm getting a jukebox," and the person was like, "I play this song on the jukebox all the time." So it's like when you pick up Happy, I play Happy all the time. So you could have picked that up for me very easily, because it's in my essence.
So that's really cool. And I think like my takeaway, and please like comment, is really like we just need to start practicing and playing around with this, and even with like friends or your dogs, like you're saying, or any animals, and just kind of having fun with this. Oh, and then Carolyn Drew said, I got You Are My Sunshine. Again, sunshine. Oh, that's really interesting. People getting sunshine happy. Like, we are family, that really happy kind of feeling, like togetherness and joy. I love it.
"Come Alive" is the world keeps getting brighter now. I think brighter now is actually a line from it. So yeah, it's a very bright, happy song. Yeah. So it is a practice. It is a practice. And as I said, there's lots of classes out there, or just doing it for yourself. Just going, did I know that? Did I hear that? Why am I hearing the song? Sometimes you're just hearing a song. Okay. But again, you can use it at different levels, and I do find, what's going to dinner? What's the song? What's the song that's happening tonight? Okay, this is a more somber song. Okay. Or, and again, you can be hearing things like I did of your, voices. That's a little strange, but you can't, I do. And but the doorbells and other things, or you might hear a car going by that's not going by, but what is that again? What is that meaning to what am I trying to get out of that? Okay. The next one is clairelience, which is clear smelling. And I mentioned, I often smell, or when my mom comes around, I smell her perfume. It's just the wildest thing. Sometimes I'll smell my grandmother's soap when she's around. And again, they're not around. That soap's not really here, but it's something coming up and I'm going, oh, they're here. And this is sometimes, and I hate to even use this example, but you might smell a fire, you might smell gas that isn't really there. But again, it might be an indication that you want to check something. Just if that starts happening, maybe there's something I should be thinking about or checking on. I used to work for Disney, and walking down Main Street in Disney, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to have, when they were baking cookies, they would have the cookies as smell come out onto the street so the people would come in. But often, even if you didn't go in, so marketing, even if you didn't go, you might go walking by going, wow, this reminds me of grandma, or this reminds me when I was making cookies with my kids, or it starts bringing up. And so sometimes you might just start smelling chocolate chip cookies and going, what's that about? Oh, I have to call my daughter. So have fun with it. And I can't tell you how many rotten smelling meetings I've been in, right? So again, have fun with it. You can do it with a person. What do they smell like? Don't know. And it doesn't have to be literal. It's more, what is it? And what is that, as we were saying earlier, what does that evoke for me? All right. So we've sort of gone through the clairs. What part of the fun of this is that they all come together. You can use all of them. And I do recommend you use all of them. And I said when I'm doing animal reading or when I'm working with a person, if I'm doing just a regular psychic reading, I use them all they get at different feelings, they access different areas and emotions, and they're all available to you. And even if you were working with me and you said, I get this feeling that you like happy music. I get the feeling you like happy music. I don't know, some of you may have worked with Angela's Arian or know her work. One of my favorite comments of hers was, when did you stop dancing? When did you stop singing? So if you're working with somebody, you can, I get the feeling you like happy. You can bring that out. I get the feeling that you like working with animals. So you get the feeling and let them know what it is to check in with them. Or I sense, I got this, do you like cooking? Because again, if you're using this makes sense. And the same thing with animals or whoever you're working with. It gives you, it opens up a variety of things. So, I think that's all right. As I mentioned, this was just a little intro. We can have some questions for a minute. And then I do have 3 courses coming out. One starts in February, if anybody wants information. It is this and more, called Coming to Your Senses. One in April is Coming to Your Senses at Work. Ooh, and in relationships. Yeah, I use that one a lot with people. What does your relationship with your boyfriend smell like or feel like? It's kind of interesting. Or if you know that this is not the right job for you, why are you staying there? And it isn't, I'm not a therapist. I'm a hypnotist, clinical therapist, but I do it more as having people look into, if they know something, why aren't they acting on it? If they're feeling something, why aren't they acting? What's that? I usually think, well, I'm scared, or there's a block. How do we work through that? And then the next one is Coming to Your Senses in Nature, where I do get people to meet their dragon, which I love, if they have one, which most people do. Talk to fairies, we talk to gods and goddesses, we talk to plants, and that's where we start doing things like bending forks, which y'all can do, by the way, or moving things. So we can send more information on those programs, or you want information about our work, that would be great, or animals, happy to do that too.
So those first 2 classes, those are online, and I think they're over 3 days each. I can't do the one it's February 28th and March 1st and 2nd, because I'm going to be teaching at CARE. But there's one in April on the 11th through the 13th. That's the one with relationships and at work. But the third one is in person, right, Heather?
Right. And it's here in Colorado. It's up at Rolla Mountain Center. If any of you know that, it's a little bit like a Carpalo or Omega that you may have. It's up in the mountains. It's gorgeous. So we will actually be on land there. So when we're talking about going out and meeting the invisibles, or talking to trees, or talking to the land, we'll actually be doing it there, plus it's gorgeous in the summertime up there. Okay, it's rollamountain.org. They just happen to be fixing the site today, so my listing isn't up there, but we can send it to you. Or I'm happy also, if people want to reach out to me about any specifics, or any specifics around, if they want information about specific medium courses, animal courses, how to develop, past life work. Anyway, I'm just happy to talk about any of this if it would be helpful in any way to anyone.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to have you back too, to do another talk on something maybe more specific too. So we want to open up. All 3 classes sound great. Yeah, Karen, they do. They do. I'm super excited for the relationship work one. And then also Heather does not record these. So you have to attend them, which is kind of good. Just because she said there's a lot of private information that might be shared. You're sharing some things that you wouldn't want to have on a recording. But I want to open it up to any questions that you might have for Heather before she leaves. So you can put it in chat, or you can unmute. I'm going to put this on gallery now so that I can see. Mhm.
And if you want to put in there, Heather at Everyday Knowings, you may have that already. Heather at Everyday Knowings.
Sure.
My at Heather at everydayknowings.com. You want to put that in the chat is my email, and feel free to email me. DralaMountain.org, and that's Drala, DRALA, mountain.org is where my courses are. Oh, thank you for this amazing. Thank you. Is where my courses are listed. Right now, I do them at different times during the year. I do different. I'm also teaching past life regression coming up in February. And other things. So that's a whole nother. Maybe we do past lives sometimes. I love past
Oh my
lives.
gosh, that would be so amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. But yeah, so does anyone have questions for Heather?
I also mentioned while people were asking, Robert Ayers is the astrocartographer. He's brilliant.
Oh,
Robert Ayers, and it's
how do you spell the last name?
Ayers.
And he's the astro.
Photographer.
Whoops.
He basically reads your chart. So he's an astrologer first and foremost. And then he'll read your chart in terms of, so the second session, where you should move.
Oh,
And there you go. If I get this right here, he's adorable. I mean, in terms of he's very practical. It's his website is astrologicalalchemy.com. Say that 3 times fast. I don't think I can, but if you look, Robert, and he's out of Tahoe.
oh wait, that was wrong. Spell check. Astrological alchemy .com. Oh my gosh. Spell check. Just
I was referred to him. I actually, a number of my friends have gone to him, and it's stunning. Again, just practical. And a friend of mine was not doing well, and kind of like me, she talked to him, and 2 months later, she moved across the country, and everything opened up. Because sometimes if you were in the wrong, like when I was in Connecticut, he said, "Well, you're going to lose your health, you're going to lose your husband, you're going to lose your job, and things are just going to get worse." And that just happened in the past 2 years, and I'm like, absolutely right on. And he said, if you stay there 3 more months, it's going to get worse. Anyway, I moved. But he was able to see, he said, your chart shows that, this is what's happening. So and he makes it fun. It's kind of scary. Like your life is falling apart. You got to move. It's like, really,
oh my gosh.
a little thing called COVID.
That's crazy.
Had a
Crazy.
I was running one of the largest theaters and churches in New York City when COVID hit. And New York closed theaters and churches. So that was the beginning. And then I got cancer, and it just went downhill from there. But I'm fine. I'm here. And aside from this voice going, you gotta move to Boulder. I've been doing this work. I've been a psychic and a medium and a mystic my entire life. So it's not like one day I woke up and this happened. I've been lucky. I've never known anything different. But I have studied extensively for a long time with lots of masters. And I will also say I'm not a shaman. So people ask me, are you a shaman? It's like, I'm not a shaman. That's a different set of things. Sorry. I wanted to get that information there.
No, that's great.
That's
great.
And so thank you all for coming. This has been so much fun for me. I'm so grateful. So grateful.
Do you have just a couple minutes to take just a couple questions?
Move things around.
Let's see here. Oh, that's it. So does anyone have a really quick question for Heather for Dr. Heather before we let her go? Everyone's saying, thank you so much. This was really cool. And again, you can just unmute if you want. This is casual. So don't feel like, I don't want to unmute. You can.
If you have weird questions, like what's an Akashic record, or what's ectoplasm and what's trance? I don't, if there's any kind of weird question, what's your favorite color? I know. What's your cat's name? I don't know. We can, whatever.
And thank you all for coming. And Robin, you're new to this, so thank you so much for showing up. This has been great. Oh, Joy said this was really fun. Yeah, it's really, really cool. And that's why we like to have guest speakers, because we're learning. Because with the animal Reiki, and Heather, you can talk a little bit about this. With animal Reiki, it's great. You have a certain skill, but doing that kind of opens you up to more. You start to see more. Oh, Ellen, raise your hand. Yeah, Ellen, please. Oh, can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah.
There you go.
I took an animal communication course about 30 years ago, and we were supposed to go into a trance while a person was drumming and find our power animal. And I thought naturally, oh, nothing's going to happen. And then suddenly I could feel my shoulders moving like this. And I looked over, and it was Big Black Wing. And I was a crow. And nobody has ever been able to tell me what that meant. Can you?
Sure. Okay, so come to the on land class. The crow. So you can get into what do crows mean and all that sort of thing. There's also animals as spirit guides. There's also animals as spirit animals. So for example, I have a bear as one of my spirit animals. When I'm scared, I bring in my bear. I have bear energy. And so what I'm sensing, this is just what I'm picking up from you, is that you have crow ability. And that for you, if you want to expand, if you want to be bigger, and I mean that, and being able to see in the world, crows are very smart. If you ever want to know something, like, I wonder if that's true, or I wonder if I should look there, crows can look. Crows can also change. They're transformers. So again, if you're someplace and you say, I want to change this, access your crow. And what's fun is when we start accessing our animals, it's very, there goes, that's Nemo. It becomes very different. I have a dragon that I work with, but I can also bring the dragon into me when I need dragon energy, or sometimes I just need, I have like a little fox and I just want to be like a little fox energy. So I bring that energy. It's actually a learnable skill that we can start using. Different another time is we can talk about goddesses and gods and, working with Merlin or bringing in Athena or Saraswati. But does that make sense? It's actually, there's a crow energy within you that you can use.
Yes.
Power.
Thank you.
That's what I'm sensing for you.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ellen. I want to get to a couple more questions really fast. So Robin said, and then we'll get to you, Barbara. Very random question. How did you find your master teacher? Did they come find you? Or once again, was it just listening to signs and tuning in? That's a really great question.
My master teacher. I've always been this way. I've not known anything. The world according to me. People say, you have one master teacher. I think all teachers are masters. I think everything's a teacher. So I don't say, I don't have just God or goddess. My friend Jean Houston has Athena. She works directly with Athena. Some people have one entity energy that they work with. I like to say that we're all connected. So some days I really need Merlin. I need some magic. I just need some magic. Some days I will pull in, I do a lot of work with Kuan Yin because she's about compassion. Some days I'll pull in, I love Kali. Kali's like, she's the most beautiful goddess in the world, except she bites men's head off. So sometimes when I need to bite somebody's head off and just have that power energy, I'll pull Kali in. Does that make sense? So I've done a lot of work and study around the different entities and the different archetypes. Sometimes I want to bring in money. Sometimes I just need more money. And I'll just go money energy. I need more money. Sometimes I'll bring in, I really do this. I have, from Aladdin, sometimes I need my genie. Sometimes I need a genie. And sometimes I'll pull in my genie energy and I'll say, genie, I need more money. Or genie, I need another client. Or genie, I need whatever. I need to feel better. I need a different, usually within a day.
Oh, I love that. And Robin, like I think, Robin, if you're looking for like a teacher, like a human teacher, then really and I know, Heather, you can speak on this too, is what I do is you just know it's like and also the universe helps you. So for example, when I went to go study animal Reiki back in 2007, I had Kathleen and Elizabeth's book, Animal Reiki. And so I reached out to Elizabeth first. And because she was teaching close to where my uncle lived. So I thought, oh, I could go stay with him. But she never got back to me. So after a week, I just reached out to Kathleen and she responded to me within 5 minutes, and the rest is history. So I think that just putting yourself out there, following your guidance on what you want to learn, and then just really, again, like you said, trusting your instincts. And I don't know, Heather, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
I'll just add up my approach to like living teachers. I'm a brand geek, so I always go to the best. When I was in the corporate world, I always went to the best. I always worked at the number one corporations. That's how I worked with world leaders and celebrities, because I just, who do I want to learn from? I'm part of something called an evolutionary leader group. You may have heard of them, but I've worked, with Deepak, and, as I say, one of my closest friends is Jean Houston. If you know her, I work a lot with Linda Taggart, Jude Curvin. You might know some of these names. Depending on what I learn or what I want to be taught, I identify, like you did, who's the best, who's most am I aligned with. When I was interested in animal Reiki, I looked around. I found Leah, best connection. Thank you, Melissa. Thanks to Melissa. So think about, who you want to work with. I worked for a while with Bob Thurman and was more inclined towards the Dalai Lama work. It depends. When I work in mediumship, there's a medium, kind of the premier medium school in the UK, and I worked with basically the CEO was one of my teachers. When I was in show business, I worked with Lee Strasberg. I was at the Actors Studio. I don't know if that's helpful. He's like, feel good about yourself, feel good about who is the master that I want to be working with them. And it's amazing you can get there. You might need one of these, but put it in your energy and it will come.
I love that so much. And Robin said makes complete sense. Thank you. Thanks so much for that, Robin, because that's a really important question for all of us. And I love that, Heather, yes, go for the best, because you deserve the best. You deserve the best teacher. So Barbara, if you can unmute, let's get to your question really quickly.
And I'll just throw in one cute story. Actually, two cute stories. One of my daughters, she was like 15 years old, and she said, "Mommy," and this is a couple of years ago, many years ago now, "I want to meet Hillary." I'm like, "What do you want to do this year?" She's like, "Well, I would like to meet Hillary Clinton." I'm going, "That's nice, dear. How about a bicycle?" She's like, "No, Mommy, all I want to do this year is meet Hillary Clinton." Within about a week, I was in a ladies' room with the head of HR for the Clinton Foundation. And I said, "Do you have an intern program?" And she said, "Yes, we do." My daughter, within a couple of weeks, was in their intern program. My other daughter said, "All I want to do is I want to work for Rachel Maddow." I'm like, "Yeah, and I want to be Queen of England. Thank you very much." I was going to visit Jean Houston, and she said, "Yeah, I can share a ride with somebody." The person picked me up. We started talking, and it's like, "Well, what do you do?" She said, "Well, I'm Rachel Maddow's manager." So my other daughter started working with Rachel. And I'm just mentioning this because it is, once you start putting it out there to the universe, the impossible becomes like, is this really happening? But it's, dream big and dream for what you want, because the universe is listening.
Sorry. Oh, that's okay. So Barbara, I don't know if you are still on. I wanted you to. Okay, great. Go ahead.
So it's a quick question. So I had recently taken an angel card class with somebody, and she did a quick thing with the clairs, and we were doing this one meditation, and when you mentioned like you heard voices, I distinctly heard two voices, and it kind of freaked me out. And she kind of really, and it was like one voice asked the other voice a question, and it answered, and it was the instructor I had. She was like, "Well, it had to have been your voice." I'm like, "No, it was definitely not my voice." And she really couldn't answer it. And this was a couple of months ago, and it's still in my mind, and I just don't know where do you think that came from?
Again, the world according to me, your angels were talking to each other. You're hearing it. And when I do Akashic Records and I go in and I talk to people's mentors and guides and angels, I'm giving you what they're saying. I'm hearing, and you'll hear it too. And I think for those of us who are, do Reiki, when you drop down and you go, before we're working with animals, we drop down and go, "Dear universe, I just need an answer." You kind of, sometimes we hear it We get like a word or a knowing, particularly like when you're working with a Saraswati, you get a knowing or a feeling, or you're writing something, all of a sudden the phrase comes in for those of us in marketing. But there's sometimes literally, like you heard, as I said, I heard somebody saying you're moving to Boulder. And occasionally, especially when I'm in church, I'll hear messages from my angels or my guide. And it's freak, by the way, it's freaky. Because it's kind of like, is that out there or is it in here? The answer is yes, because we hear sound in here anyway. If our ears aren't working, we're not going to hear it. But it is your information is there in all sorts of ways. And a lot of information, particularly when we're working there, we have access to all this information and we can hear it, we can see it, we can feel it. When you start attuning or tuning in, you'll start hearing it more. Is that helpful? And angels talk to each other and entities talk to each other, so you can hear them. And quite often we don't have like one angel come in. We'll get a group of angels or entities coming at us, and it can be kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was wondering, like, was it, since I was in this angel card class, was it the angels? And it was at a time when I was extremely, extremely relaxed. So, and then all of a sudden I was like, what just happened?
I wasn't there, but you can hear angels. That is absolutely. And if you want to go back and listen, you can talk to your angels more and hear them.
Okay.
That would be because you're in an angel class, and because it was like, did I hear them? I would go, probably.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know for sure, but I go, that's what it sounds like to me.
I was doing the whole angel card, I had the cards all laid out. It happened at my house when I was doing the homework. And it was just, and then I tried to I tried to have it happen again. And it hasn't happened again. I'm trying too hard.
You can ask. The other thing, like in hypnotherapy, when I work, I have people listening to the voices in their head, which is kind of fun. When you have, you want to smoke, you don't want to smoke. No, we really like it. No, you don't. It's like sock puppets. So we do have voices in our head, but I don't sense from what you were doing, especially the way you're asking it, that we do hear entities talking to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you.
And I think that also that's another plug for why you should study with people who are the best, because she obviously didn't have enough. Thanks, Joy. She didn't have enough experience to really help hold space for you and say, yeah, that's completely possible, because that seems highly possible in an angel class, and you hear two voices.
Right.
Yeah. So very cool. Thank you for asking that, Barbara. It's so great to see you.
Me too.
And, so, when you're doing mediumship, is when I'm doing mediumship, I am actually hearing the father, or the celebrity or the entity. So I'm actually hearing it. And that's you want to make sure you're not making it up, because you actually hear their voice. It's kind of weird, but you will hear it. So, yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. So I don't know if you have time for one more question, Heather, or if you have to go, and it's totally fine.
I'm good. I shifted things around. I'm good.
Okay, good. All right. So Ellen, you had a question. Then we have a question from, I think it was Michelle, wanted to know who the best remote viewing teacher is. So we'll just do those last two and then we'll let you go. So go ahead, Ellen. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. So I see in my head things like car crashes. And I don't know why. They just randomly come in my head.
So I will say I don't know why. However, I don't know why in your case. I do know, and for many of you probably, and you'll, when you hear particularly about children or people kind of entering into this world, or all of a sudden there's a lot of fear. It's like all of a sudden, mommy, I saw a car crash, or mommy, I saw somebody get killed, or mommy, I saw somebody with a gun, and then you turn on the news and it's there. So it can be very frightening. Again, because we are tapped into the world, we could be seeing something that's about to happen, something that has happened before, or something that'll happen in the future. So you're probably picking up on something that's real that may or may not be within your direct consciousness. It could be if you turned on BBC, you would see a car crash. Does that make sense? So you're picking it up intuitively, and can be mindful of it.
Yes, but it's been doing that for years, just randomly.
The other thing, and it would be another that's what I say. I'm not getting any kind of like certainty feeling. If we did a past life regression or hypnosis, you might find it was from a past life. It might be a recurring past life that you're picking up, that you remember. A lot of people remember being shot, or they remember car crashes, or they remember they wonder why they're afraid of water, or why they're afraid. It's a past life. So that could, and that's why it's very vivid.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Not sure. I'm not getting totally clear because there's lots of ways it could be happening. It is something to notice. It is something to notice. The other thing, particularly if it's in a dream state, and again, I don't want to get too much into dreams because that's a whole other area. A car crash in a dream might be you're making a decision. I used to when I was making a decision, I would get to the airport and the plane would never take off. I was always missing the plane, or it would never take off. When I finally made the decision, whether it was a new job or a new career or a new whatever, the plane would take off in my dream. So sometimes it can be a symbol for something, but again, that would be for you to take a look at. Is this a past life? What does it feel like? What do I know it to be? Is it a symbol that's trying to send a message to me? And you just ask one of your guides, say, hey guide, or you could just say, Mother Mary, or again, I like Merlin, I like Kali, can you help me with this? Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you for that. And then last question, who do you think is the best remote viewing teacher?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'll go with I don't know. But the Monroe Institute teaches remote viewing, and they have that's sort of a remote. They're founded very much in remote viewing and out of body work. So, and they're an actual institution, so they would be good people to ask. I think, and you have to be careful of it. There are people who teach it. Certainly when people are, for the FBI or something, that are remote viewers. So there are classes, but again, you want to be mindful. And if anybody wants to run somebody by me, I'd be happy to, or finding lost animals. So there's a way to get a light introduction to it. If anybody just wants to have a session with me, you can call me and we can go shopping. And it becomes a practice. It becomes a practice.
So that's a really great.
It goes into what are you remote viewing for? If you want a remote view for lost animals, Joan Rankett, does it something on lost animals. Again, if you're much more interested in, I think it'd be fun to work with the police and discover things. I think it would be fun to work. Who knows what's happening structurally, with UFOs to see, what that's about. There's different teachers, so I'm happy to touch base or maybe send you towards somebody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Heather, thank you so much. You've gone over and I really appreciate that. And thank you everyone for coming and for sharing and for asking such great questions. We had a really great group here today and this was super fun. I definitely want to have you back to talk more. And so maybe, for all of you who are here, maybe there is something that Heather touched on that you want us to expand on. And maybe we can even do a little series if there's more than one topic that seems to be really interesting to you. But don't forget, she does have these classes coming up, and then we will be sending out her email and a link to her classes. And feel free to reach out to her. Heather is very generous with her time, and as you can tell. And yeah, so many, you're welcome, Trina. So many thank yous for coming, Heather. So thank you again. I cannot thank you enough for this. This is really, really cool. I love to be reminded that, yes, I do have intuition that can be trusted.
Well, thank you all. This was really, really, really fun for me. I am really grateful. You have all been wonderful, and I just really appreciate you all be willing to look into my life and see who I really am. I don't know, but to see how it helps make this fun and accessible, so you get beyond any kind of fear around, should I be doing this? Am I feeling this? Am I hearing voices? The answer is probably. So thank you. And remember, I think that's on the last note. One of the things, especially when you're doing with intuition or psychic work, it's funny. There's humor to it because that breaks the energy. So you'll often hear psychics, or you'll hear them laughing about stuff, or we laugh about stuff. It breaks the energy, and it's sometimes easier to get into it. So if there's ever something you can laugh about it, like, you know, isn't this fun? Like my daughter laughed at me this morning. It opens the field more. So on that happy note,
I love that. Happiness, joy, people. Just like looking at the sun. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you next week.
see you next
Bye.
time.